Good morning, Uber Tuber Ubers. Short talking the trailer with the old guy. I just looked at it. I think it's about 6:40. Yeah, that's right. And gonna head out of the house here in another about three-quarters of an hour, something like that. And I was just sitting here thinking. I watched a couple of videos this morning. And I just had to turn them off because I was kind of overwhelmed. So I don't want to overwhelm you. It's not good news, and it seems to me to be disturbing in that there's a pattern to it, and there's something about it I just don't like. But at any rate, it involves this whole recent uh, mess going on in Israel, having to do with the Gaza, having to do with Hamas, having to do with Hezbollah, having to do with Iran, having to do with us, having to do with the Russians. I mean, this thing is like a can of worms. And so I did comment somewhat to the effect, uh, maybe a week or two ago, about the Hamas Israel situation, and it's really a bad deal. But the thing is that I hadn't considered at that juncture there that what we might be looking at, and there appear to be several sources that perhaps very soon, within a couple of days of now, this is a Tuesday morning. I've already lost track of the date. I want to say it's the 24th, but that might not work. Whatever, it's the Tuesday. So anyway, having to do with if Israel goes in a ground invasion into Gaza and just roots out every single last terrorist that's in there, guess what? Many or most of them already left with the refugees. Duh. But it's such a anyway. If Israel does that, there's already global protests going on around the world about how mean and wicked Israel is for basically bombing up civilians. Well, the civilians are also the same ones who happen to cover for, hide, and protect these mercenaries, these paid killers. So the citizens aren't all as shall we say, uh, innocent as all that. It's like back when all the terror, and it might happen here again too. There was, for you young people, a lot of Muslim-based terrorist acts in the United States, and but they hardly ever mention them anymore. It's almost like they didn't happen. But bad stuff. A lot of people died, and I mean these killers are wicked. And so the Israelis are saying we're going to root these guys out. The world says, oh, no, you won't. And Hezbollah to their north, which is in Lebanon, which is another Iranian gang of criminals, but these guys are much larger. They almost qualify as a small army, 100,000 plus men, maybe 150, I don't know. So it's not like they're hunting down 163 weirdos. So if Hezbollah jumps, then guess what? Israel says we're going for your mother, Iran. Israel is saying they're going to take Iran off the map. Well, they have nukes. It could get that ugly. Well, guess what? Iran and Russia, they're kissing cousins. So now we've got two proxy wars going. The U.S. does two proxy wars going between the U.S. and the Russia, if you want to view it in a kind of a mean spirited way. I mean that that is a mean way of thinking about it. But in other words, do you really want to tangle with Russia in a hot war that may involve nukes? U.S. Think it over. But what else can the United States do but back Israel? Uh, so it's a little bit like the language they're using is we have to cut off the head of the Hydra. And I got to thinking, I thought, that tells me something about what these people are thinking. These war hawks, these neocons, they call them. Their only answer is always, let's just go bomb them, that'll be our policy, see? It's like, and then they wonder why people around the world hate Americans. Big mystery there. But, yeah, so the war hawks, they want to back Israel to the hilt. They're bringing in the Dwight Eisenhower carrier group into the action. They're going to maybe push it through the Suez. I don't know. Anyway, whatever's going to happen, the U.S. has asked for 48 to 96 hours, more or less, since I guess yesterday, to just for the Israelis, just hold your water, don't go anywhere. We didn't tell you don't do it. We just said, please wait. We're setting up assets. What? You and me? I'm setting up somewhere over there. Supposedly, the Eisenhower group is placing itself in the Persian Gulf to directly be able to assault Iran. And is that true? I don't know. There's so much of this stuff that happens that later on it turns out, well, that was a fake. But I think this one's true. So anyway, thinking it over some, these are dire times. If the United States gets involved with Russia in a hot war, as Tucker Carlson predicted probably at least 6 weeks ago or more, I think. He said sometime in the next year there will be a hot war. And, like boom, boom, bang, bang, cities blow up, that kind of stuff. And, but we never think of it on our shores now, do we? What if Seattle goes bye-bye? Well, it already kind of did. All this liberal politics on the West Coast is just destroying cities. It's destroying cities. But at any rate, we're in such dire times. But anyway, the thing I was thinking about is that I just had to turn off that news. And so I don't want to depress you like that. But I was thinking, I need to pray. So I'm just sitting here praying. And I thought, I love to use my hands when I'm praying because it can arch my back. It just kind of, it's like get involved in the thing. So when you talk, when I speak in prayer, I sometimes do this kind of stuff. And it seems to relax me somehow. So I guess the net result of my prayer is that I prayed that, the things I'm not hearing are so astonishingly loud to me these days. The things that I'm not hearing. Where in any of this global political situation, are we hearing anything about truth or righteousness in the powers that be, in the political entities? We'll call them countries, nations, states, kingdoms, I don't know, Puba'ites, I don't know what else they would call them, empires, but a people's republic, that's what they call them. That's the communists. But anyway, people around the world are looking at this kind of stuff. Doesn't matter where you're from. And to nobody does it seem like a good idea for us to start hurling nukes and receiving them too, perhaps. Has anybody thought about that in Washington, D.C.? What if the nukes, what if the Ruskies decide to just take D.C. off the map, man? Just like Israel said they're going to take Tehran off the map. You want to play hardball or not? And these people are insane that they would begin to ante up that high. And then when you consider what they have to back it up with as a superpower in the world, they're flat broke. They couldn't rub two nickels together to make it go clickety-click. The Army is ridiculously small. The U.S. Army, standing Army right now is just over 400,000. That's like, what? That's enough guys to maybe guard the Pentagon and a little bit out from there, No, you need a standing army in times like this of 2 to 5 million. And we're nowhere near it. And guess what? Whatever they guess they call them, I don't know. I don't want to offend you guys if you're at this age. If you're of draft age, okay, 18 to 21, somewhere in there. If you're of draft age, there's going to be a lot of political stuff coming at you guys saying, well, we're going to draft you now. And, remember the hippie brothers who are just now running things. It's the same hippies in the 60s who are now in charge. Those guys ran out, man. They took off to Canada. They just hid. Or they got what's called college deferments. They just kept forever taking classes. And, I've decided I'm working on my 7th master's degree. So, anyway, we're in dire times because excuse me, my mouth's all dry. The boy talks too much. If things continue the way they are, and we're looking at something like a general war, well, the days ahead are going to be grim. And we need to bathe our lives in prayer before the Father, remembering that none of this action down here ever mentions Him. None of this action down here ever mentions His rights in the matter, in that He owns the earth and our bodies, for starters. There's this roaring silence, all these things we never hear, even in the church. Things like, but what about the widows and the oppressed, those who are being created over and over and over again by U.S.-based weapons manufacturer in bombing raids around the world by various countries? It's all for profit, and they massively profit at it, and everybody knows it. It's these who are the voices in the powers that be, lots of times, where you hear about these choices. We're gonna join up with Israel, and if it starts World War III, okay, it's not a problem with me. Are these people even like, have they been lobotomized? I mean, what are they talking about? That's crazy. I remember the Cold War. People used to be terrified of an all-out nuclear exchange. I mean, a lot of people dug bomb shelters in their backyards. They always noticed when you were a kid, bomb shelter this way, and usually it was kind of a basement of a building. I don't know if it's going to be such a bomb shelter in an atomic weapon attack, but never mind. But the crazy duck and run, don't get me started. I wasn't old enough to do duck and run. I think that was a 50s thing. I was early 60s. So at any rate, looking at things, it's just easy to get kind of uneasy. It's easy to be uneasy. But He wants to be at the center of our lives. And He is at the center of our lives. It's just we can't seem to remember it for more than a few minutes at a time. So we're constantly being dunked again in the truth. We're constantly being washed with the Word. We're constantly renewing our fellowship by saying, yes, I once again lay my life in your hands, my future, my health, my so-called good name in the community. I lay our entire world in your hand, because we have to believe somehow that however insane and destructive this looks, it's part of your plan. And you not only saw it coming, but you're the one who calls forth the end from before the beginning. You knew all along these hours would come, and they're here. And we want to confess in them, not fear, not shaky, like maybe God's lost his mind. No, we want to confess the name of Jesus. It's your victory, Jesus, that we're seeing somehow in this, and open our eyes to see. From our side, it just looks like an absolute train wreck about to happen, where nobody wins, and poisoning the whole planet even. And that's just for starters. How low do we get? We'll find out, I guess, eventually. Don't give up hope. I guess that I want to encourage you. I want this video to be an encouragement to you, because, I mean, people talk about dark times. Well, it's like, well, things could get significantly darker. I see it now. We all excuse me. We all want kind of a normalcy in our lives. We all want kind of an expectability, a security for tomorrow kind of idea. But we keep trying to locate that in the wrong things. We locate that in government, or in some politician, or some theory or doctrine. We know we need to be stabilized somehow, and we think we know what we need will stabilize us. There's part of the problem right there. He presents himself as he says, I am the door. I am the way. It's like I am the root, the honest root, from which all of the branches grow. He's the trunk, I guess what I meant, the trunk. So at any rate, in this, we need to preach Jesus not only to the world, which is kind of what I'm hoping to do today. Maybe 2 people might hear it. And then you could tell one other person, so we got 3, pretty good. No, we have to spread abroad the news that God is still in charge, that he knows our hearts, he knows our concerns, and in it, he's going to prove, somehow we can't even predict, faithful and good. And so we ask for mercy on the peoples of this crazy place, that you would protect life, that your name, Lord Yah, would be held high, and that the promise, the oath, the faithfulness you've displayed and continue to display would be witnessed by your people publicly to your glory. I'd like to see that. And when that stuff starts happening, you know them powers down there ain't going to like that at all. All H-E, double, I was a kid, I used to say H-E double toothpicks. I was just doing that, right about that. H-E double toothpicks. Yeah. All hell will break loose. But the thing is that he's strengthening you on the inside, not by making you tough and muscular and agile and like a gymnast or something. He might be doing that too. But he's strengthening you in another way, renewing you supernaturally day by day. And it begins in the heart and the spirit and the soul and the body. He comes in our bodies, and we are in him. He's amid us as a group of humans as well. In and amid. He's changing everything. Don't give up hope. He wins. In fact, it's already been announced he won. This is just a little bit of mop-up operation about the knuckleheads who haven't heard the news yet. It's like they did that after World War II. They found some Japanese soldiers years and years later who had never surrendered. They had never heard that there was a surrender. As far as they knew, they were still under orders to the emperor to act as a loyal Japanese soldier or sailor or marine, whatever he was. Well, these guys lived for years out on these islands, and they were still fighting the war in their mind. It's just that nobody ever came by, nobody ever bothered them, and they lived on these islands pretty much by themselves. But they were still at war, and well, it's a little bit like that. Okay, so maybe it's okay. I'm trying to minimize the pain here. You still got to get to work. You still got to do things today. You can't be worn down by this news. The end of the world ain't here yet. Two things the apostle says have to happen: the appearance of the son of perdition and the great apostasy. So don't you be a part of the apostasy. And if it's you, Mr. Man of Sin, watching, hope you drop dead. Have a good day. Don't let them get you down. And when the going gets tough, you know what the tough do? They stay still. They're immovable. Nothing pushes you off center. Why? Because he's at the center. He wins again. Have a good day.